Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It's time once again to continue on with my Group 1 car reviews, in which I hope to review every single Group 1 car in Gran Turismo 7 and give them a definitive ranking in the end. Now today we're going to a car that, in my honest opinion, is absolutely probably the worst Group 1 car in existence. However, it's kind of so bad I actually really like it and really respect it. It's the notorious Nissan GT-R LM. Now, not to be confused with the kind of prototypes of the late 90s and such, the GT-R LM Nismo from 2015 was a full-blown LMP1 car. As you can see, it sits in Group 1 with a PP of 876.35, 3000cc, drivetrain FF, so front wheel drive, 604 brake horsepower, weighing 880 kilograms and is turbocharged. This car will set you back a million credits. Now, in terms of the overall original PP rating, this is perhaps one of the best ones in class, funnily enough. However, in terms of its performance, it's definitely one of the worst ones. Not only in game is it absolutely dreadful, in terms of its real world performance as well. It raced one single race before being absolutely canned, never to be raced ever again. Now let's talk about the car's history before we talk about it in the terms of GT7. So as mentioned, the car competed in one single race during its illustrious racing history. Obviously I'm being sarcastic. That was the 2015 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now the car actually fielded, or the team should I say, which is obviously Nissan Nismo, fielded 3 separate cars, number 21, 22 and 23. In terms of the qualifying pace, it was absolutely horrific and probably massively embarrassing for the manufacturer. So in terms of the places, they all rounded up the last 3 places in class. However, they were on average around about 20 seconds slower than the pole time set by the Porsche, which was in the same class, which is just absolutely unimaginable. Now, number 21 actually got out qualified by an LMP2 car. Now, in terms of the overall pace as well, it was that bad that none of the cars reached the 110% rule, meaning that they was all demoted to the back of the prototype grid. So in terms of the race though, it didn't really get any better from there. You know, maybe it was all of a sudden a miracle, that massive reliability, maybe it was incredible on fuel consumption, maybe it could have just gone to the end. No, that really wasn't the case. Number 21 completed 115 laps before it had a suspension failure. Number 23 completed a rather respectable 234 before the gearbox gave out, and number 22 did actually finish. However, it didn't qualify for the finishing results as it didn't complete 70% of the race distance. After that, the car was completely canned and it would never ever race again, meaning that in total it completed one single race and it was a complete flop. However, there is something to talk about when it comes to this car. It isn't your necessarily similar LMP1 machine of the time. A lot of those are either four-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive and all that kind of thing. But there is just something about this car that I have to respect by the fact that it is front-wheel drive. The gearbox was mounted at the front, hence the massive long nose on this thing. Front-engined, it was just all a little bit different than what you would typically see on an LMP1 car of that era. And to be honest, it didn't work. However, I do have to give my hat off to Nissan for trying something completely different and probably creating one of the, not only in my opinion, so ugly it's good looking vehicles of the time, but something completely different and not a typical Audi or Porsche copy of that era. So with its rather short racing history done and dusted, let's talk about the car in the context of the Gran Turismo series. So the car originally appeared in Gran Turismo 6 as a kind of whole big deal for, I believe, a special event at the time, if I can remember that far back. And obviously it does return in Gran Turismo 7. Now, the weird thing about this car, you might be wondering, as you know, it was a completely different time than with Gran Turismo 6. Yes, they did put the time and effort in to get it remodeled for Gran Turismo 7, which is just kind of strange considering the car's never really been that good. However, you might be thinking like along the likes of, you know, other kind of legendary vehicles in terms of the Gran Turismo history that didn't really do much in terms of the real world racing history, but kind of become popular through the Gran Turismo series. Does it follow along that suit? Absolutely not. It is still not that good in game. However, I will give it credit that yes, it is usable in a sense if you don't mind very, very heavy tyre wear and really not that good fuel usage. There is no advantage to using this car. It is generally way off the pace of all the other LMP1 machines, but it can be usable. So let's talk the pace of the car itself. It is obvious that it is nowhere near as fast as the other LMP1 machines, but really, can you feel that in game? And I would say absolutely. There is no excuse for thinking this thing is fast. It generally is not. Obviously, being front wheel drive, it has that massive strange feeling of being front wheel drive, and not to the point where it is controllable, because it is generally a very quick car, obviously being Group 1 compared to nearly every other front wheel drive car in game. It's a very strange feeling throwing around a Group 1 machine that is powered by the front wheels and will do the turning there as well. The sense of speed and handling on this thing is just absolutely atrocious. However, it can be usable if you do want to take the time to adjust, but I'm assuming most of you probably won't, because it is just generally that bad. However, for me, because I do like a challenge, it is a car that I will kind of take out from time to time and just throw a few laps in, or maybe attempt to do a bit of a grind with it and such like that, just because it is weird and quirky. And that is probably the whole point, and I guess a takeaway from this video that I can give, that yes, it's bad. Yes, it was bad in real world. Yes, it's just as bad in GT7, but for some reason it is so bad that I actually genuinely do like this car. I think it is such a different design. It's a generally really nice looking design, to be totally honest. Again, once I adjusted to driving this thing and kind of got my head around that it's all going on at the front and there's nothing at the rear with this car, and I honestly did put some respectable times in it. Is it a world beater? Absolutely not. Was it successful in its real world racing career? Absolutely not. Is it faster than any of the other LMP1 machines around that era? Absolutely not. Is it probably the worst entire car in Group 1? Yes, probably. But I will say this now, just like a lot of other really bad Gran Turismo cars of the past, I really don't hate this car. In fact, I do respect it for being completely different, and for some reason I love it for being so bad. So let's have a look at its overall lap time. As you can see, it completed the Nordschleife in a time of 5 minutes 58.147, and you can probably notice that some of the other Group 1 cars in game, it's yeah, way off the pace. As you can see, it's around about 4 seconds back to some of these slower Group 1 machines, or cars that were just a little bit heavy-handed at the Nordschleife, and it even gets beat by the Toyota GT1 TSO20 from 1999, and even further back, the Audi RS5 DTM is really not too far off its pace for a single lap of the Nordschleife. Overall, this car just really isn't that good, and I'm sure in time it will very quickly disappear off the overall ranking board. However, I just outright don't hate it. I really cannot bring myself to hate the Nissan. I really just have this weird respect for it, that it tried something different. Yes, it failed, but now here it is in digital form in Gran Turismo 7 for the rest of time. So there we have it, quite possibly the worst Group 1 car to ever exist in Gran Turismo history. However, no, I do not hate it, meaning that in all honesty I do go into these reviews with an open mind as possible. Let me know what you think of this Nissan down below. I know most people will probably say it is absolutely terrible, and they are not wrong. This is the one time that I would agree where people say that car is just sheer trash. Now, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try and continue these on for a weekly basis. We're getting very close to rounding them up once and for all. Massive thank you to all of my channel members, and thank you for you guys watching today. I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.